Okay, so and we'll maybe look at a couple people's projects, but one thing that might have happened, this came up with one of you, is potentially what's happening is we start making 3D geometry. So if we start looking at, this is an earlier drawing, sort of get it. So we took our 2D and we flipped it up and we started working on this, right? Now, as we start producing our 3D line work, so if we look at like our 3D, we started tracing these, this geometry like might have changed considerably than what you started off with. That wasn't the intention. So I was hoping like you guys drew those enough to where you can just start extruding, but it seems like you guys started tweaking these after. So the drawing that you might have here that you might just want to take and throw up on here back, you won't be able to do because it might have changed a lot. And the other dilemma that you might be running into is once you take this and you extrude it, in this case this won't extrude, but let me just make something real quick. And again, if you're working in this view, you should always have the UCS rotated upwards. Okay, so Y and X are working on this plane. I think a lot of you guys are like drawing 3D, but are in XY to the world, and that's causing you problems when you're trying to extrude. And stay away from architecture because you get a lot of different like BIM stuff, so be making walls, so be careful which software you're in. Right now you're in architecture. Okay. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle just so we can see this. So if I extrude and I pick this and then I extrude it, you'll see that the line goes away, right? So all the work that you spent maybe making that profile disappears. So this is one dilemma that's happened. Okay. So make sure if you're gonna do any work on this, like alter it and then extrude it, make sure you make a copy of it. So you guys have to get used to like being, you know, a little schizophrenic, you know, and having like many things of the same piece. All right, it's okay to work like a little chaotic in the software because we can always clean it up, but it's always good. Actually, sometimes the way I work is as I'm working, I'll make a copy and start like freeze. I'm really happy with this. Let me make a copy, start working on the one so I have the original. So in case I do want to change something or I have the original, I can always go back. All right? Does that make sense? Now, if we go back to, so I have two files open right now, which you can have in AutoCAD. If I go back here and I realize all my 2D drawing line work is gone and it's gone from here, I can bring it back in. All right, how would I bring it back in? What do you guys think? Copy and paste it, right? So I can go UCS world, so it's laying flat. I can select this, right click, clipboard, copy with base point, pick a base point, and it just copied it to my clipboard, right? This is like, clipboard is like Word, right? When you're in two documents in Word, copy a paragraph out of one, and you paste it in another paper. It's just like AutoCAD, same concept, using the same clipboard technology. So we come here and then we can right click, clipboard, paste as a block. So there's all our drawings now that we spent time. All right, so I can take this now and place it where all my 3D information was if it's gone. So you might have to do this. Okay, now if you change things here, you might have to retrace these. Hopefully you haven't done that heavy editing on these things, right? A lot of it just might be you tweak some geometry, like added a line or deleted a line. It might not make a difference. Okay, so the effort that you spent on the 2D line weight drawing will be translated here. Does that make sense so far? Yes? Okay. So we did this, we've placed it here. And then you want to control your layers. Now for the viewport, we're going to do a hidden line. We're going to use a legacy hidden line, which is fine. But maybe with our 3D geometry, we don't want them to read as like line weights, like thick line weights or thin line weights. We want them to read like thick gray, like tones. All right. So that's what's going on here. So all these different layers here, and there's actually just two, I believe, have two different grays on them. Maybe one representing a top surface, others maybe representing vertical surfaces. Okay, so that's what these two are. Everything else matches your original line weights. All right. So far, so good. Yes. So we're sort of layering this all together in one sheet. So then I can go ahead and do a new layout. All right. And by default, we'll get this, right? So we right click. Where do I go now? Page Setup Manager. And then where? Modify, because we have 4. And then I start setting up my page, right? So we want to go portrait. We can go ahead and do what else? Well, we can set up our CTB file, right? So is this the one you did? 3D print? Yeah. Okay. So we might have one we made, or we might have to pick one or make a new one and go through the wizard. You guys should know how to do this by now. Okay. Or you can pick ACAD. I don't know why ACAD is not appearing, because maybe it got renamed. Not sure. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's true. Okay. And this looks like it looks a little bit different than what you guys might be using. Okay, so we can hit OK and then close, and then we can adjust. Maybe remember our viewport, so I typically go a little bit bigger. And then we can go into MS. And right now I'm in a southeast isometric, right? So this might look a little bit different, not too different. So we can go to view and we can pick our different isometrics. I would use one that's a true isometric. So it's a 30-30 isometric. And then we can get it placed somewhere in the middle, okay? Like so. And then we go back to paper space. Once we're in paper space, if we go to properties, and I don't know if yours was coming up. There it is. Under standard scale, we can still adjust the scale and get this to a scale. Okay, so we're probably going to go like in the realm of, yeah, 1 inch equals a foot. Fine. Okay, so this is to a scale. This can actually be a scale drawing. Isometrics can be scale drawings. They're not in perspective. So we can actually take measurements from these things. Okay. The other thing we need to change is our shaded plot, and we're going to pick legacy hidden. So shade plot, legacy hidden. Okay. And then we can go to print plot. We can go ahead and just preview this real quick. And we can see, okay, we got lucky. Things are looking the way we want them to. Our line weights are what we had before for our thick edges. But we can still come in here and adjust things, right? So we might need to find those 2 grays that we used and give them like a thicker presence than the real thin, or we might need to adjust the magenta, right? Make it a little bit heavier. Preview it and say, okay, I like that now. The profile's a little heavier. Hit enter. We're going to hit OK. Did it plot it? Where did it go? We got to pick PDF, I guess. If this thing has PDF, it might not. Oh, it does. Good. All right, let's do that again. I'm just going to throw it on the desktop. And there it is. Okay. This is the goal for this exercise. Now, this is a little bit simpler one because everything is extruded the same. But the idea is to take what we did in 2D, add the 3D element, add the cuts. One more time? We're taking what we did in 2D and then combining it with the 3D.
So we just place the what we draw on 2D, tested it on the 3D, and then we did everything the same.
Yeah. Yeah. If
What's so important place? Like the hatch, I understand. But
because we're gonna lose the lines, the outlines and all that are gone.
even though we extruded it,
Yeah. Because we don't want the extruded edge to read the same as the, like we want this edge to read thinner than that edge. Okay. This looks like a cut, right? Like if you cut through a piece of ham, right? Like the cartoon ham. See the bone, flesh, the skin, right? Okay. Don't upload it yet. I want to see them next week. Okay? So bring in a PDF, get as far as you can. I assume some of you might have some trouble. Here, let me just